lovely people, thank you for joining me for this Venus Through the Houses series. I'm Anushka and today we're talking about Venus in the ninth house, which is thought to be quite a beneficial placement, beneficial place for Venus to be. So what is the ninth house about? The ninth house is traditionally ruled by Sagittarius, and it is here we find our philosophies in life. This house is about foreign travel, foreign cultures, higher knowledge and higher learning. It's about expansion as well, and it also relates to our in-laws. And Venus in this house is, so first of all, this makes this makes you somebody who really feels the need to explore and to grow. And there's this real sense of adventure within. It might be that in your early years you get very frustrated with the mundane aspects of life, and that you might become somewhat disillusioned to a certain extent, picking apart, you know, the place in which you live, the culture or the country in which you live, because you've got itchy feet, you want to explore more, you want to see more. So this will make you somebody who is definitely a lover of freedom and adventure, and should be quite actually. This will make you quite popular amongst your peers, especially in university and in college. Places associated with higher learning will bring you, or should bring you, quite a bit of good fortune. You'll get a lot of enjoyment out of university, or just, it doesn't even have to be university, it doesn't have to be that traditional, but places in which you are expanding and growing, any institutions which allow you to do that, you will really enjoy. And it may not be so much about the actual course of study itself, but more the just being there, the being in the university, the being around the buildings, the absorbing the energy of it. It just feels right, and on some level it is giving you something, so that's something that, you know, you're bound to take a lot of pleasure in. Reading and publishing and books and writing are all favoured by this aspect as well. This is the kind of person who might have a lot of books on foreign culture, on how the universe works, on religion, and anything philosophical or of a higher nature. This is the kind of person who likes to ponder the universe a lot, and will probably seek people who are like-minded in that respect. This favours foreign travel a lot, and it's often said that, you know, the person with Venus in the ninth house will be drawn to not only travel but maybe even set up home abroad, and you might feel more at home in a foreign country than you do in your own place of birth. And love is very much favoured by love in foreign countries is very much favoured by this, or, you know, being involved with a foreigner. You might find that you have a lot of long distance relationships, or that you meet people when you're on holiday, when you're basically in your element, having an adventure and soaking up different cultures. That might be when you find that you meet important romantic connections. There can also be a possibility here of having relationships with tutors. For instance, in university, you might be very highly regarded by your peers and by your tutors. You might socialize more with your tutors. There is a possibility of a romantic connection with somebody who teaches you. So yeah, those are all possibilities. In love, this is an interesting aspect in that you require a lot of freedom, because we've got the natural traits of Sagittarius here, haven't we, in this ninth house. Obviously everything is always dependent on how your Venus is aspected, and it will be favoured by the sign that rules your ninth house. But traditionally, like I said, it's associated with Sagittarius, so this is a placement that definitely requires certain amount of freedom and growth in love, and you might find that you your personal philosophies are very important in your relationship, as in, and in a way that not very many people, you'll operate perhaps in a way that not very many people will operate in, that, you know, it won't just be about the relationship, it won't just be about love, it will be about how does this work on a cosmic level. It will be about bringing some sort of higher knowledge to it, whether it is that you're very religious, very spiritual, whatever it is. There will be, it won't just be about the relationship itself, it'll be, you'll look at it on a much broader level. And this is a thing with this placement, it's about breadth of vision. And you're likely to be happy with a partner who is interested in growth, just as much as you are, who's interested in growth, who's interested in the bigger scheme of things. So you're not someone really who's suited to a very, you're not someone who's suited to a possessive partner, definitely. And you probably don't really want the norm in a relationship. You want somebody who is different, who will grow with you, who will learn with you, and who will understand how relationships cause us to grow, and then the point of them in the grand scheme of things. You probably want somebody who's like-minded in that respect. This can make the individual somewhat fickle to a certain extent, because Sagittarius is very much, it's about gaining experiences, it's about taking in as much as possible, and because of that sometimes there can be a tendency to perhaps lead people on without really knowing it, or to have a lot of romantic partners throughout life and never really want to go too deep. Because Sagittarius wants to spread its wings and gain as much experience as possible, and so it can be that you enjoy relationships and you enjoy love, but it tends to be on a more superficial level. Don't be afraid to let it become deep. Don't be afraid to invest in your emotions, and be aware of the fact that, you know, what you say to people, what you say to people in romantic situations, in romantic relationships, is very important. And try not to just say things, just to say big things and big statements of love or whatever, unless you really mean them, because there can be a tendency for that sometimes, not realizing that the other person feels really deeply for you, and you're kind of going along with it, and you're like, yeah, of course I love you, and but really for you it's more of a casual thing. So just be aware of that, because you can afford to go deep. You have got a lot to offer, and you've got a very interesting point of view when it comes to how you relate to the world, and how and what relationships mean to you. There was something I was going to say then, and damn it, it was good as well. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But you have a relationship with philosophy. You have a relationship with the cosmos. You have, and that is something that is really important to you. And you might find that you gain quite lucky experiences through your connections, whether it be in like teaching or as a student or traveling. You might find that you gain really interesting experiences, and especially if there are any aspects between Venus in the 9th and planets in the 2nd house or in the 8th house, you may benefit really well. I mean, you could be great at foreign trading and importing goods. You could be really good with publishing, and you can make good money there. You might find that, you know, money comes to you in ways that are related to foreign cultures and to travel, publishing certainly, things related to kind of, how can I put it, like spiritual institutions, religious institutions, that type of thing. To me, this placement asks you to bring your higher values, your beliefs into the relationships that you have with people, and kind of uplift them, and make sure that you're working with people from a place of higher consciousness. So it asks you to merge those things together. Be careful not to try and enforce your views onto a partner or to overwhelm them with your philosophy, but instead use your philosophy and the kind of the high morals or whatever it is, and integrate them into your relationship in a way that can make your relationship better, so you both benefit. If Venus is afflicted, as in if it's negatively aspected, or it's got hard aspects to it, I don't really like saying negatively because there's a purpose to it all, and sometimes in the very hard things we find the biggest pots of gold. So if Venus has hard aspects to it, then what we can see is that perhaps you might do a lot of studying, you might absorb a lot of information and never really do anything with it. It might be that you go to university and it takes you ages to finish your degree, if ever type thing. It's that kind of, there can be a certain laziness that can come if Venus is harshly aspected here. But eventually, I mean, even so, you're likely to get benefits, you're likely to get rewards from pursuing that passion you have of growth, of higher knowledge, of higher learning, of exploration, because you're very much there's a free-spiritedness about you, and you have a zest for life, which others find really attractive. And as long as you can focus this, and I think it's the same, you know, in love, try not to scatter your energies too much, focus your energies, and you can get a lot out of life by following the things that you're passionate about, by traveling, by going into, whether it's philosophy or foreign studies, or publishing, writing, whatever it is, teaching. You can get a lot out of it, but I think first and foremost you have to decide what you want, so that then you don't scatter those energies and you can really go for what you want in life and commit to the right kind of partner for you. Okay, well, thank you for watching. I'll be back with more Venus Through the Houses series, and yeah, stay tuned. Bye.